Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard brought to you by Grasshopper Bank. I'm your host, Lauren Feldman, and I'm here with Kim Robinson, who is founder of 3 Points, which helps artists and creatives build their businesses. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. A pleasure.
My pleasure. Kim, my sense is that artists are a lot like most business owners in the sense that they're usually really good at something, but they usually need to figure out how to turn that something into a real business. Does that make sense to you? Is that what you do?
Exactly. You nailed it. I mean, I think what I talk to my clients about, my customers, is the idea of creative practice and business practice. They want to practice their art. They want to design. They want to make things. But what do they need to be able to do it so that they can make a living doing it, or hire help, or make it sustainable and thrive? They need the business part of it. So what I always talk to them about is that you need to have a harmony of creative practice and business practice. And we look to help them with the business practice side because the creative practice side is what they have down. So we're just trying to help them with overcoming that inherent lack of knowledge in just what they don't know about the business side. Whereas most people who are entrepreneurs, they get in and they understand I have to manage finance, marketing, a P&L, all those things. This is not what a lot of these folks come into it thinking about or wanting to do. A lot of times it's actually kicking and screaming. And I kind of think of 3 Points as the ice cream on the medicine that makes the part that they're not as interested in more engaging and appealing.
It's interesting. I think you're right. It's a little bit different for most of the business owners I talk to in that they are aware of the places where they're ignorant, and they know they need to address it, and they're willing to. But they still have a lot to learn. They have a lot. We all have a lot to figure out. In your case, is it? Are there also kind of a mindset shift? I mean, there's a big difference between someone who thinks of themselves as an artist versus someone who thinks of themselves as a business owner. Is there a mental aspect to that you have to help people get past?
For sure, because everyone starts off from a place of creating something, because you don't have to have a business to make something. I start something, I make something because it's natural to me. These people, it's an extension of who they are. And we all are creatives in a sense in terms of things we make, regardless if it's a painting or it's something that we fix or create in our house or work on a dish or whatever. But for these folks, these are artists, makers, people who build tangible goods, artworks, objects, etc. And they start off in a place of, I make this because I enjoy making it. And then with time, as they start figuring out, hey, I don't want to do my job, I want to just do this. And then that rationalization and then what they have to navigate mentally helps them get past that point. And some people never get past that point of what is the cost. One of my favorite James Clear quotes is that if you want something, find out how much it costs and then pay it. And I think that is a thing for a lot of my audience, my clients, is they've all gone through the thing of accepting, the process of accepting, hey, if I want to do this and I want to make it viable, I want to make it sustainable, I want to do it professionally, I have to take on the business side and actually practice it and take it seriously. And that's where I think half of my work is in helping them find confidence and clarity in pursuing the business side so that they can do the creative side in the part that they want. So there is a reckoning, there is a rationalization, there is an agreement that they have to come to with themselves. And I like to tell stories to help them see other people who've navigated it so that then they want to pursue and overcome any biases or insecurities about pursuing it as a business themselves.
Is that in part because they want to think of themselves as an artist, not as a business person? Or do you find that your folks have gotten past that by the time they come to you?
You nail it. I think it's probably one of the biggest challenges for my business, actually, in terms of when I first started my business, I was saying creative entrepreneur. And that phrase is so loaded. You can say that in a lot, creators online are creative entrepreneurs. You're a creative entrepreneur. I'm a creative entrepreneur. But I think that a lot of the people who I was really targeting, they don't call themselves business people. even though they're doing business. Some of them who are like savvy business people who have their operations dialed, who have all the things, even though they're doing business, it's almost like, because again, I'm an artist. They see themselves identity wise as that. And I think for some of them, just this idea of like, I'm a business can almost feel like bad. So I think a lot have to find that middle ground. Some take it and say, yes, I am running a business, I'm doing it. But some still, they want the benefits of business, they want to run it, but they never want to call themselves that because they're creative first. And that's what we're always trying to navigate with messaging and finding our folks who are care so much about the work. But not only do they care so much about the work, but they care about the infrastructure they need to build to support the work. And that's where it's always challenging for us to find and identify the right people who will understand it and will be interested in the work that we provide. So it is very challenging because of self-identification.
Tell us a little about your background, Kim. Are you personally more a creative or more a business person?
I'd say both. And I think that there's an art of business. And I come from, in terms of creative background, I come from being in creative communities all my life. I've long been a contributor and advocate for creative communities for a long time and DIY, do it yourself cultural ecosystems from when I was a kid, being in punk rock scenes and hip hop scenes, going to raves and underground art scenes. And I found that even though I was involved in them as a musician and I DJ'd, what took to me was I was really influenced and impressed by the people who put it all together and made it all happen. I was really influenced by the promoters, by the people who ran the venues, the people who ran the zines, the media companies that helped get the word out about things that were happening, who was doing things, and just creating this vibrant ecosystem for people to be able to pursue their passion. And a lot of times, those people who do the behind the scenes work aren't really highlighted. It's the people who they create the fertile ground for those people to be successful. So a lot of the people we think of in art and music, they are the final result of a group of people who came together to create something and provide infrastructure for them to then use that to grow. And it's the same way that our government provides us with things like, or utilities, the internet. And I just think of infrastructure in creative infrastructure. That was something I was attracted to. So that led me to my career where for the for 15 years, I worked in culture and media for brands such as the Fader, Complex, and then I worked for Red Bull as well. And I worked for a bunch of different marketing agencies in various roles. And what I found was I went to them to be able to support creatives, be it musicians, artists, visual artists, all kinds. But it was typically around a brand that was setting things up and financing the entire thing. But what came from that was I got a full business background. Even though I majored in business in college at Sacramento State, I basically got a full like graduate level program education in business through my jobs that I had. And I found that the hard skills I liked, and I could use that in my work to help creatives achieve their dreams. I like doing it for the businesses I worked for. Then I wanted to create a vehicle to be able to do that for others. And that's how 3 Points started.
Well, how exactly did it start? In the sense, what drove you to leave what I assume was probably a safe and comfortable corporate job to go out on your own? And why did you call it 3 Points?
Yeah. So, I mean, the year was 2019 when I was working on my business plan because I had started feeling an itch. And in my life, the way it's always worked for me is my conscience talks to me and tells me, hey, something's got to change. Something, you have to move. You have to do something difficult. And I will ignore it for a little while. And then I will have to listen because it won't stop calling on me because it's telling me, hey, it's time to move and try something new. It's time to change jobs. And it was starting to tell me that after working for about, 12 years in music, media, and entertainment in various roles in marketing, communications, and business roles in culture spaces. In 2019, I was just fumbling around writing out notes and thoughts about what I would want to do. Um, my main reason for getting to this was that, or how I was evolving was that I had been so entrepreneurial in roles and jobs that, they always say that at jobs, like be entrepreneurial and role. And I took that, and it's something that I love to do, that I could fall into a role and take initiative and make it my own. But I had the structure and the support of the larger company, of a department, of a manager, of a finance team, HR, et cetera. But it was still limiting when you're working for someone how far entrepreneurial you can be. And I wanted to test my mettle. So I think it was two things: that one, I wanted to stretch my abilities in find a new level of personal and professional development. And I saw entrepreneurship as that. And two, I wanted to build something that I thought could help artists and makers. And I saw those two things together. And I was like, I think I could build something around that. So 2019 was when I started putting the idea together. And then, of course, 2020, pandemic, people were making starter dough. I was starting a business. So that's kind of like what I was working on throughout 2020 in my apartment, while I was also working, building out my plan and getting it started. And I officially started in 2021.
And why did you call it 3 points?
I called it 3 points for a few reasons. So the first one was, one of the biggest recommendations I make to anyone who's starting a business is keep it simple as possible, because you're thinking about branding, you're thinking about your URL, you're thinking about initiatives, you're thinking about communications. And because I come from working in a lot of spaces where I worked with businesses and artists and different people who had projects, names can kill you if you do it wrong. So I wanted to find something very simple that could work for not only a URL, a business card, but also I didn't have to explain in depth, because it was like, I didn't want it to be bland, like Kim Robinson Consulting or something like that. And it's like, what is that? That's bad. That's lame. So 3 points is, that there are 3 points in what I feel will help an artist and a maker be able to sustain what they're doing and build a thriving business around what they're doing. And it's what we provide: confidence, clarity, and direction. And I think that for life, that if we have confidence, then if we have confidence, then we can find clarity. And if we have clarity, then we can take a direction that's given to us or that we find ourselves. And I think it's kind of a journey and a philosophy that I have. And it's kind of how I model what we do with 3 points with our platform and helping our customers.
Can you give us some examples of customers and what you do for them?
Yeah, for sure. So let's first start with 3 Points Co-op, which is a back of house resource that where me and my team, I have two people who work for me, and what we act as a back of house resource to support these artists and makers with the back end of their business. Because traditional entrepreneur, will have a team, will get funding to be able to build it up. Our folks are not going to ever do that. They're not going to ever seek capital, and they're not typically businesses that are people are going to be investing in this capacity. Some get loans depending on how they're diversifying their sales, like apparatus and all these things along those lines. But really, they need help across all the aspects of business. So we help them across brand, marketing, operations, networking, PR. We wear a lot of different hats because we're able to do it because of all the experiences I've had. And I also know how to build support networks through freelancers who I bring in to help my members. So we have this membership slash back of house resource that we've built. And we have about 6 members in it. And these are people who pay us an annual subscription, um, 4,750 annually, to be able to have full access to us throughout the year, where we support them. And a few of my members, example is a longtime customer. Her name is Kate Casey, and Kate runs a business called Peg Woodworking. Kate is a woodworker, and she makes premium, high-end furniture that she sells to individuals as well as companies, hospitality, etc. And she's been in business for I think about 10 years or so. And she is the perfect person for us because She is engaged in her business. She's actively finding ways to how can she sell? How can she market? How can she stand out from the competition? How does she build systems and processes for her pricing, modeling? And we are that business BFF that helps her navigate all those challenges. From I've helped her with building sales strategies for trade shows. I've helped her with building email strategies for her email marketing, from hosting and doing client services, to sending gifts for the holidays, just a lot of different things across that board. So I think the way I like to say it is I want to be a part of people's success story. I want to play a part. And I think that our group is so in need of various things, but there's no one who can cover that basis. And that's what we're aiming to do. Because I think one example I'll throw out is how, like, now in what small businesses, many that you've seen, fractional services in SaaS services are what it is. And I think what we're doing is providing not only fractional support across various business functions, but SaaS services in human form, but also software form, because we've built out like a crazy notion that we allow our members to use to help service them. So I think, I mean, talking to you right now, that kind of helped me land on another way to talk about it. It's fractional support as well as almost like a human SaaS for artists and makers who are doing business.
So you're not just helping with strategy and thinking through what has to happen. You're actually providing services to your folks.
You are correct.
For that price that you mentioned before?
Yep, we're losing money.
I was going to say that seems that seems like a very good price for your creatives.
You are correct, but I knew that if I charged what we could charge or should charge, I wouldn't have been able to get the folks through the door. And I'm definitely operating from a loss aspect here with this. That one, I needed to get people in for proof of concept to see it and do it. And I knew that I could create enough systems and processes with this model that it would reduce the amount of work that we had to do to make it that it's not as heavy on us. So we're not, while we are providing them with always on support and there's no scope, quote unquote, on it, we're not really like in it as deep as I was afraid of, because we've created enough efficiencies. And what I mean by that is network effect, where one member has a thing that they need help with. If we help them with that thing, someone else is coming along who needs that same help, and we can literally give them the same strategy, adjust it a little. Or we even, as a part of this cooperative, we bring in members to help each other. So we're using the network effect where members are providing things, connections, support, and then we are helping administer. So I think where we're doing, not only are we providing strategy execution, but we administer to make it that we are not the ones carrying all the weight of servicing someone. We bring in a collection of different people, but it is still a new idea. And I can't say that it's going to be a total success long term, because we're still seeing. But this is the only thing I could figure out as a model that could possibly scale for me, that could make it that I could make this business work long term. And this is kind of where we're at right now.
Kim, I knew we had some things in common. I just didn't realize how much. As you know, I just did an event in Cincinnati. And at the end, we went around the room, everybody said what they're taking away from the event. And when it came my turn, I said, I'm going to really listen carefully when my customers tell me that I'm not charging enough.
Yep.
And as soon as I said that, I got a standing ovation from the people in the room, which is both embarrassing and in some ways encouraging.
We don't charge enough. You are correct.
So what's your plan? How do you get to the point where you can charge enough?
So what I'm hoping is, once we get to a certain amount, so we're at 6 members right now, and I want to be able to get to 25, 30 members. And I think the numbers will go up, but I think the work will go down, and I will raise the price. I'm not going to do what is the one of the most popular terms in shitification, where I charge more and they get less service. But I think, Lauren, why I'm like confident in this model is because we're building so much infrastructure. I'm big on systems and processes and creating leverage that all the things that my folks need and the services I can provide them isn't solely about Kim's hours. It's about I can send them a link to something that they can then use and then go from there. I can send them a video that we have. I can book an event that they can all come to. So I'm hoping long term, and this is I need I've gotten advice from finance people who have said this is a loser. You need to drop this. Of course, this isn't going to work. But I've gotten advice from them where they were like, you need to just get more people in house so you more members and you can be able to build this out. So I'm thinking hopefully, 50, 60 and with network effect, I don't think it's going to be heavy of a lift. But check back in with me later at 2025 where I may say this is the worst idea ever.
Well, I will certainly do that. The problem there, and you're obviously aware of this, is that if you're losing money
Yep.
on your customers now and you just bring in more customers, you're going to lose more money.
Yeah. So, and we'll see. I don't know. And this is where the finance side, I've worked with so many specialists where we've done models. And oh, and one thing I'll throw out to you is I'm not I'm losing money on this, but I'm making money on other revenue channels. And if we're talking about the business holistically, this is not the only area where I'm looking to derive revenue. So there's probably three different areas of revenue that we make that we have. And there's one where we do direct services to organizations who also serve artists and makers, where we sell in programs that we design, manage, and execute almost like an agency, like going back to my agency world, where a project could be a 6 month program that we're overseeing for a local organization, an economic development organization that has a grant that they're looking to support makers and manufacturers, where they pay us $60,000 to oversee and run a program. And because I can stand up a program, run it, and I can hire people who then work across that and other things, that those things are helping me sustain the business while I build up the co-op. So I'm still working with the audiences through these organizations who are hiring us and paying us for these programs. And it helps us not only market 3 points, but get in front of more customers while we're slowly building it up. So it's a gamble. And the smart money would be, hey, just focus on these like B2B big organizations and enterprise clients who I've been pitching and doing business with, because, a few deals there, you're good to go. But I'm really committed to, because I just love the being in the weeds and deep in it with my customers on the co-op side, but it may not be viable in the long term, and we'll see. I just love the work and I love being in it with them, but this is the gamble, and what, scares me about it in general, that this may not work out, but I want to give it a little bit more time and we'll see. But I'm not going down. I'm not going to do this for 5 more years. I can tell you that.
Well, it sounds like you have a mix in mind that could certainly work, and that each would help the other in obvious ways.
Totally.
I suspect you're working a lot of hours, though.
Yes, for sure. A lot of hours across programs, because I'm also teaching. That's a big revenue channel, and that's a part of the program offering, where I will design programs that I'll teach, or I'll bring in teachers, I'll bring in specialists and people who have experience like you to speak in front of people, and I just administer it and put it together. So I'm wearing all the hats. I am executing, I'm administering and managing, I am selling programs. I'm doing community work, because we have a community space for the co-op, a digital one, where being a community manager, saying, hey, how's everyone doing on this Monday? What'd you accomplish last week that you want to share with other people? So I'd say I'm well balanced, though, compared to how I was at previous jobs that I've had. And the reason why is because I I just use I'm really religious with my systems and processes. I'm addicted to Notion. Notion is my boyfriend, Notion is my girlfriend, Notion is my wife, Notion is my everything. And I even hired an operations person who manages our inside Notion space, because it makes the work easier for us to be able to do it at this high scale because we can't depend on our labor because we will burn out.
I too went from working in corporate environments to doing my own thing, and just the freedom of knowing you can set your own course, make your own mistakes, not waste time doing something that you don't really believe in, can really make a huge difference. I suspect that's true of you as well.
That's definitely the truth. And as you would know, and like people would say, you've never worked, you work way more working for yourself if you're serious about it than you ever would for anyone else. Like your weekends, your days, your nights. I am never not thinking about or working on it. And I think this year, and one thing that I know a lot of your listeners and people you work with have dealt with, because this becomes, I'm obsessed with this project. I love it. I love doing the work for the customers and I'm obsessed with trying to make this work and make it sustainable. And I can share numbers and speak to like how things have been going from a business standpoint. I'm fine with being transparent there, but every it makes me high. I just get so much enjoyment out of it, and it asks so much of me. But I love it. And but last year I kind of had to come to terms that I need to get more input for output, and that was a part of the reason why it was awesome to join one of your masterminds because I have to nourish and fill my cup more because I love doing for my customers, my clients, and I see burnout a few miles down the road, and I have to stave that off. And that's what I've learned from my past life in corporate America because I burnt out famously there. I quit a job like last minute after I just run myself through hell. And now I'm seeing that I can be obsessed with this, but I have to take care of myself if I really want to make it work.
I think we're both living the dream, Kim. If your dream is to work harder than ever and make less than ever.
Yep, you got it. You totally nailed it. And then the other part of it is trying to navigate this, and this is something I'm guessing a lot of your listeners and people you dealt with is that me, I'm married, and to start the business, we had to really like make a plan because my wife is I'm into systems and processes. She's all about it. She is like OCD, like clinical. And we needed I needed to build out a plan to show like here's how this is going to work. Here's where we're going. The business plan was almost for her. And I
Good for
needed
her.
because she wanted to know, hey, if I'm working full time and I'm making if I'm going to be the one working full time and you're in this business, how is this going to work for us? So we had to dramatically change our budget and how we lived. And it's not that we're living like lesser than or anything, but we haven't traveled like friends have in the last few years or last 5 years. I haven't done so many things that other people because basically the business eats up the time and we still want to invest money in retirement. We still want to invest money in savings. And we're very hardcore about that and other things. So the thing about entrepreneurship is like you're saying, living the dream because I get to live this, but there's so many things I can't do that people who work regular jobs can do because I've tried to make this commitment to make this work.
It probably gives you a real insight into the creatives that you work with, though, because you're facing the same challenges.
Yep. And I struggle with how much of do I bring up my personal struggle because it's almost like if someone's going to a therapist or something and the therapist starts talking about their shit, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? So I go out of my way and I'm trying to find it like I show like I talk about where I'm at personally and where things are at in my newsletter that I've been publishing for 4 years. And that was like the MVP of the business, what got it started. And everything is kind of based around the idea of it. And we've stretched it out from there. But it's really hard, even though I see what's in them and I'm trying to console them about things that I'm going through in real time. And it's funny, almost like, shrinks need shrinks. And then I need one, and this is why it's good to talk to people like you, meet people like you, because it can be so isolating because I'm not trying to put my stuff on them.
It's interesting. I wrestle with the same thing in the sense of how vulnerable do I want to be? And in my case, especially having been a journalist for so many years, I'm always asking people to share their story. And I kind of feel when appropriate that if somebody asks, I need to share my story. It's just hypocritical not to. On the other hand, why is somebody going to pay good money to go to a conference that I'm throwing
Yep,
if I'm talking about how I'm struggling? So
totally.
there's a difficult balance there.
And one on one end too, I think in today's society, people want vulnerability and transparency because too often in social media and entrepreneur spaces and everywhere, the idea of this person's got it all figured out, they're rich and famous, they have no problems. I think we're in a time right now, particularly with younger people, where they're dismissing all of that and they're saying, I want real and I want people who are going to talk about their struggles. And the content that I create, where I do interviews with people, the best performing stuff is the ones where people are being transparent about like, that they don't have it like what people think because people appreciate it. So we're in this kind of fine line where I want to be transparent, I want to be vulnerable, but I don't want to go into like the stuff about like, hey, co-op members, I know you're loving this, but this may not be viable and you may not be able to depend on this in a year or two.
Well, I kind of did that and it kind of worked for me. And it might work for you too, because if they're coming back to you, they like something they're getting from it and they probably want you to succeed.
Totally. And why this model, I love it, is because once they're in, they don't leave because we really are integrated into their workflow, their life, in terms of making things easy for them across all these different aspects of
And
their
they don't
life.
leave because they know you're not charging them enough.
If you ask some of them, they tell you that this is a lot. And they'd say this isn't enough. And this is the difference between the worlds. And this is why it's made me like when we were talking about, hey, you could know it and have things figured out from a business standpoint, but you could still make bad decisions. And my heart tells me this is who I like working with. But I can tell you that majority of the people, because we're in a big sales drive right now, they're like 4,750 for a year. That's a lot because they don't have, a lot of people don't have the experience in hiring and having support. And it's a scarcity mindset with a lot of artists because the idea of like the broke artist and all these things along those lines. So the idea of investing in yourself and spend that money is really hard for a lot of people. So getting them to commit 4,750 has been hard. But for my people who are in, they're in and they're there. And that's why I'm hoping that with more case studies, because we're 2 years into the co-op, 5 years into 3 points, that we'll have enough moxie and we can show enough examples of people who have found success with us that we can be a part of other people's transformations. Because I know it's there. It's almost like, and you've probably seen this, it's like I'm just chipping away at a dam and water's coming out. There's a rock blocking it. And I know once I hit a certain point, it's going to just be a gusher, but and it's a matter of between that and solvency. And like fighting that while trying to fight solvency. And I'm nowhere close to like being out of business or whatever. But just like you've probably seen, you got to be real about numbers and what the reality is long term.
No, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. In my case, what's kept me going is that I get positive feedback from smart people, and it suggests to me that I've got a good, as they say, product market fit. People like what I'm doing. I just haven't found enough of them. I got to keep looking for them, and it sounds like that's what you're doing too.
You are correct. And this is why my biggest investment this year has been awareness driving as well as actual like outbound sales because I come from a strong marketing background. I love marketing. I love talking about marketing. I love building brand and marketing frameworks and plans. Like I can nerd about it, about that stuff all day. And I built this amazing model that I was so excited about with 3 points. And you're told, you know, you get the who, what, why clear. And then you go out and you perform and you do the work and you show it, you document it, you put it out there and you get it all clear. Inbound will come. Man, no. Like inbound and you optimize the website to every degree. You get the photos right. You do every intricate like tweaking that you do. You still have to do the sweat equity and get out there and write business and sell it. So this year I'm big. I'm hiring and bringing in people to help me with selling the business across various, not selling the business, selling the offerings of the business to people. And this is a big critical year for us, that by end of the year, in terms of awareness as well as sales, we're going to be able to determine, how deep is the traction gone, and it's going to be able to help me evaluate it. Just like you're saying, I'm getting good feedback. My customers all love me, and I know we're providing them with tremendous value. I think, we value it out every time we do a service for someone. We inventory the service, what we did for them, how long it took, all the things. And then I added up at the end of the year for everyone individually. And one of my customers, I could say she probably got about $36,000 worth of value out of her $4,750. Why? Because she was a first mover who came in, and I want to give her that value so then I could leverage it to get more people in. But this is where it's just so hard, because it's like, it should sell itself. I did the work. I did the marketing. These people are happy. Why are more people not coming through the door? And this is where I can just go bonkers, because it's like, it adds up, but it's not adding up. It's not working right now. It is working, but not to the way I want it.
Well, especially at the beginning, few things sell themselves. I think that's the message there.
Ugh.
But you can get there, and
You can get there. And that's the journey.
Exactly. And I look forward to keeping in touch and hearing about your progress as you make it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And thanks for just giving me a chance. And this is my chance to almost share things, because like I told you, I never get to kind of talk out things relating to my experience. So I really appreciate the opportunity just to share my story, and just hearing anybody else's who's going through it just helps me out as well. So thanks for all you do as well.
Well, me too. It's great to connect with someone who we have more in common than I realized when we started this conversation. Kim Robinson is founder of 3 Points, which helps creatives and artists think more entrepreneurially. Thank you for taking the time, Kim.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And special thanks to our sponsor, Grasshopper Bank. Thanks for listening, everyone.